On today's episode, we are thrilled to feature Daniel Lurie, the newly elected mayor of San Francisco. Congratulations, Daniel. Back on October 8, during his campaign, I brought Daniel to San Francisco State University as a part of a project for broadcast electronic communication art at BECA department. I was joined by students, Olivia and Jakub, for the interview, while other students practicing video production during class handle the filming and behind the scene. Together, we explore Daniel's vision for the city. Key challenges like affordability, homelessness, and public safety, and the legacy he hopes to leave for the future generation. Of course, I ask him our signature great question: what is the one thing you crave to accomplish as a mayor that will leave a lasting impact? Now, let's take a look back at the insightful conversation and hear what Daniel has to say.
When I think about what we need to do in San Francisco is we need to address safety, affordability, and our public schools. When you talk about young families, you talk about students about to graduate from college. Around the affordability issue, we have a housing crisis. We have an affordability crisis. We're not producing enough affordable housing in our city. We were sent a letter by Vice President Harris and President Joe Biden saying it takes longer to get through permitting to get housing built in this city than any other city in the country, 33 months. Department of Building and Inspections, to get through that process is on average 605 days. So when you think about that, you realize that the processes, the bureaucracy, the corruption is preventing us from addressing public safety, getting more housing built, making sure that our public schools are thriving, because it's not a crisis of resources that we have, it's a crisis of leadership and resource allocation. And so we need to build more housing. We need to make sure our public schools are great so families can think, oh, I can be in San Francisco long term and I can get a great world-class public education here. Many families are leaving the city because of the housing issue, the safety issue, and the crisis in our public schools.
Yeah, thank you.
And as housing relates to the homelessness population, it has increased drastically through the past few years. And this past summer, encampment sweeps have completely obliterated communities in San Francisco. How do you combat this issue? How do you plan to combat this issue?
Well, this mayor has failed to address this issue, and she's had 6 years as mayor and a total of 12 years inside City Hall. And so we have seen a failure to address the homelessness crisis. We need to build more shelter. And so my plan is in the first 6 months, stand up 1,500 essentially disaster relief beds. We would do it in an earthquake if we had this type of issue on our streets after an earthquake. We have a crisis on our streets. We need to offer people shelter, so 1,500 shelter beds. We need to offer people bus tickets home through Homeward Bound, which is a program we've had going for years, but the mayor stopped it during COVID for understandable reasons, but really it's not restarted the program, where if you call somebody and there's a loved one, we give them a bus ticket home and food vouchers. Third option is more mental health and drug treatment beds. We have to deliver on the promise of treatment on demand. So when somebody wants it, they can get treatment. Right now, if they want it, they meet that moment and they're in the throes of addiction, they're turned away 50% of the time. So we have to build out more beds, mental health and drug treatment beds. Those are the 3 options. We cannot allow people to sleep on our streets anymore, so that will not be an option any longer. We do have the ability to arrest in sight. No one wants to arrest our way out of this problem, but if you give people 3 real options and they continue to refuse, then you have that tool in the toolkit. It's not progressive, it's not San Franciscan to allow people to die on our streets, to suffer on our streets, to be preyed upon by these drug dealers. And so I have a comprehensive plan to tackle the homelessness crisis. We have to do it with urgency, and I will.
Excellent.
And with the increasing concerns about public safety, how would you balance improving safety with police reform and community trust?
you can have police reform and public safety. It does not have to be either or. Simply put, we've gone through a lot of police reforms at SFPD. I've done 8 ride-alongs with officers. They appreciate wearing body-worn cameras. They understand that they can't be chasing suspects in crowded commercial corridors. That's why we need to use technology like drones, getting up and chasing criminals who, but doing it safely. So what we need to do is make sure that we get police out of the business of being our homeless outreach workers and our mental health counselors. I've done 8 ride-alongs, and 80% of the calls officers tell me, and what I observed, was for mental health and addiction issues on the street and tent encampments. We pull them back. We get trained clinicians out instead, because not every interaction on our streets should be with somebody with a badge and a gun. That allows our police officers to take a step back, start walking commercial corridors, getting to know small business owners and merchants. And that's how you start building trust and community between law enforcement and community. We need to do more of that. We need more officers out. I did a ride-along with someone from Terraville Police Station. He's supposed to be an officer walking the beat on Ocean Avenue every day, but he says he's able to get out there once every 2 weeks because they're so short-staffed. In 2017 or 2018, they had 110 officers at the Terraville Police Station. Today, there are 53. On a good afternoon, on a Saturday afternoon, 3 police officers are patrolling a district with 100,000 people. We have to deter crime. We have to have community policing. We have to have officers that look like the communities that they serve and speak the language of the communities they serve. And I've talked about how we need to get more officers recruited or recruits from SF State, from City College, from San Francisco, that know our city and love our city. Because right now, 80% of our police officers live outside of San Francisco. And we know you police better when you live and work in the communities that you serve.
Thank you.
Thank you, thanks. So San Francisco is known for its diversity, right? How you will ensure that all communities, especially marginalized groups, are represented and supported in your policy?
This is an important part of my message and what I've been talking about since day one. There will be representation from communities across the city at all levels of my administration. For example, the API community is 37% of our city's population, and it should be represented like that, and it will be at SFPD, fire, department head levels, commissioners, and people in my mayoral office. I was in the Mission talking to the Latino community.
I saw that.
And so we need to make sure that there are people that are helping lead my administration that are from community. Right. And it can't just be, during budget time or ad backs that I'm hearing from community. I want to hear from them 365 days a year. Representation from communities across the city will be core to my administration and how I lead.
Thank you. Thanks.
And as it relates to diversity and inclusion, what is your message to students at San Francisco State and other colleges amongst the younger voting population? What would you like to tell them?
What they should know about my background is that the last 20 years of my career has been spent serving community, serving and making sure that every child, every family, no matter the zip code that they were born into or living in, has an opportunity to thrive. And that's why Tipping Point, where we've raised over $500 million to invest in housing, education, employment, early childhood education, because we know that when a child gets off to the right start, they do better their entire lives. And so I've always been in the business of preventing poverty, but also providing opportunities. And that's what we need to do, and that's what I will continue to do as mayor.
Excellent, thank you.
Thank you. So San Francisco has always been known for innovation and creative problem solving. And as a leader, how do you plan to foster that innovation in our city?
We need to lean into that, and I'm going to be a mayor that welcomes entrepreneurs and innovators back, helps small businesses get up and running more quickly. So back to permitting reform, making sure that we streamline the bureaucracy, cut the red tape, and stomp out the corruption that is preventing us from being that thriving city that we all want. So I'm going to welcome entrepreneurs and innovators back, I want us to lead again on climate. The climate crisis is real. We used to lead on climate, and now we have fallen behind because this administration and our elected leaders have failed to bring in those people that will help us tackle what we all know. I mean, we got this intense hurricane coming. We had just a crazy heat wave here in San Francisco, the hottest on record in 28 years. And so we need to do better on that front, and I'm going to go out and invite entrepreneurs and innovators back to help us lead again.
Thank you.
Thank you. Loved your answer, by the way. Such a great answer. So at Crave, little different question. At Crave, we celebrate the passion, the drive people, and the impact they want to make. What is one thing you crave accomplish as a mayor of San Francisco that will leave a lasting legacy of the future generations?
Ooh, that's a great question. I mean, what I crave and I know is possible is for San Franciscans, all of us, to, when we go out and travel again, we tell everyone we're from San Francisco and we say it proudly. And we don't have to defend our city anymore. No matter where you are and you say, I'm from San Francisco, they're going to be like, oh, I can't wait to visit there. Because that's what people used to say, and they will say that again. You give me 2 terms as your mayor, and that's all I want to do in politics. I just want to turn around the city that the 4 of us all love, and I want us to proudly say we're from San Francisco. And I believe under my leadership and my ability to bring people together, that we will get there.
Thank you so much, Daniel, for sharing your vision with us. A big thank you to all the students at San Francisco State University BECA department, with special thanks to Olivia, Yakub, and Professor Dina Ibrahim. Stay tuned for more inspiring stories on Crave.